Let's start with a scene. You finish a day that looked busy, right? Messages, headlines, timelines, a few videos, a little shopping, a few laughs. Well, let me just check something quickly. Then you put the phone down and you feel oddly hollow.
That is a confusing feeling. You didn't even do anything bad per se. You just consumed what was available.
Yes. And the question is not what is wrong with me. Remember our January New Year's episode. We talked a lot about not self-flagellating, right? What is wrong with me? A better question is what kind of world is training my nervous system?
And today we talk about something that's been showing up quietly in our lives of the people who are listening and ourselves too. A culture that trains us to consume first, even with our joy.
We are calling it consumer or producer. Stop eating your joy. Not as a moral attack, but as clarity.
Yeah, this is not some 10-step prosperity formula that's going to make you feel like you run the world or the happiest person. This is not a motivational quote. It's a conversation. And we're going to be curious, use science, wisdom, faith, and keep it human. Welcome back to Generations in Conversation.
What stays? What changes? These are hopeful stories for each season of life.
Views, stories, and ideas shared on Generations in Conversation are based on our personal experiences, research, and honest curiosity. We are not licensed therapists, medical professionals, or trained theologians. The conversations on this podcast are not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you need mental health, medical, or spiritual guidance, please seek support from qualified professionals. We aim to share, learn, and grow together, but always encourage you to take care of yourself and consult trusted experts when needed.
Now, let's define some terms in a more clearer way. Consumer culture says, when you feel uncomfortable, reach for something outside you, a purchase, that new shiny pair of earphones, that you've always wanted to get. Oh, yeah. A scroll. And we'll be talking about that. A snack even. A new episode. Now, we want you to listen to our episodes, okay? Right? and there'll be new ones coming. A new plan, a new identity.
And the producer culture says, when you feel uncomfortable, you can still choose agency. Take the time to build something, learn something, repair, serve someone, make a decision that actually costs you something, then gives much more back.
Yeah, and the tricky part is this. Consumption looks like rest.
Oh, it is a very sneaky lie that it gives you relief, relaxation, rejuvenation.
There's a big difference here between, of course, relief and fulfillment, right? And yeah, it's not subtle as we may think it is, but it's quite distinctive. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about fulfillment, that is a very heavy term. It has a lot of weight. It normally involves significant effort, time, Discomfort, consistency, you're working towards something, and that's what brings out the fulfillment.
And so here's a line that sits at the center of this episode. Consumption can soothe, but it rarely satisfies. Make it a little bit more practical for us, Tari. And today I know you have some things that you're going to talk about. Well, let me not let the cat out of the bag.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But no, let's make it practical. I like that, soothing versus satisfying. And a practical example of this that I've partaken in many times is you can watch something light, an episode. I'm into cars, so I'm always watching car YouTube. But the danger is when you replace managing your inner life with this consumption. It's the main way that you handle discomfort or stress or friction or even boredom, which is very, very important for us.
Very interesting. Or when you start confusing consumption with progress, right? Having stuff over real progress, because you can consume all you want. Yeah. The scripture says, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his or her soul? What shall it profit a person to do so? And I think it's not talking about some future heaven situation, right? It's talking about right here, right now. You can have everything and actually have nothing, right? In our culture, it confuses this idea of progress. Progress meaning really having this fulfillment that goes beyond, the materiality of the world, right? We're taught from the time we're little. Progress means what? Having the best car. Progress means having the best gadget, right? And you and I have gadgets. We are geeks united.
Indeed.
Right. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the other, another one that I am also quite guilty of at times is watching productivity videos instead of doing the work. Or in my case, again, those car videos, I'll watch somebody build something over 3-4 years that's magnificent. And my pickup truck is still outside not running. And I feel so good that I know all these things. It's a trap. It's a very easy trap for us to fall into.
The treadmill thing, you're there. Yes, you have your heart rates up, but you think you're going somewhere, but you're not going anywhere. You're just right there. I'm not against treadmills. I use treadmill when I'm not able to go outside to walk or to do my rocking. But yeah, but still, it's an interesting, when you're there, it's just like running or walking so fast, whatever, and you ain't going nowhere, right?
No, going nowhere fast.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And or sometimes even we read relationship quotes and think, oh, that sounds, and that's okay to read those things. Are okay. I mean, those are inspirational. But if inspiration is not converted into real life situation, having that conversation, I got inspired. I need to really have, you and I have had very hard conversations because of our history, and man, it's not easy, right? But if had I stayed there, or you'd stayed in your position thinking, well, yeah, one day this is good. I've read this poem. that inspires me about how to engage in hard conversations. And that's where it stopped. Woe unto us.
Indeed, more unto us. So what is being a producer about then?
Uh, we should stop also and say this very clearly. A producer is not only money. Again, we set this up earlier, right? You're told if you are generating a lot of money, if you're earning a lot of money, you're the real producer. We lionize that. Oh yeah, look at that. Interesting thing is, we're even more gentle on people who have money, even if they make mistakes, right? Or even if they are, let me not use that language, even if they are terrible people.
We all make
Right.
mistakes.
Right? Even if they've done something, yes. People get away because, well, they have money. Being a producer is not only a business. A parent who keeps showing up is producing. Because what is happening is the investment, the emotional investment that they are putting into that child will, in the future, ensure that that child is emotionally stable and is resilient and is able to navigate the world a certain way. You can earn all the money and give your kids, property, and those things are okay. But again, if those kids, if the children are not emotionally resilient, emotionally stable, if they don't have emotional intelligence, and if there's this shadow, right, that is really scary, that's following them the rest of their lives, well, I think then you've earned the money, you have businesses, but actually you have in many ways not been a producer per se. A person who learns a new skill you're producing, right? Because that skill, right, contributes to, because I don't just get skills for myself. When I produce something, I don't produce things for just me. No. I produce for me and others, right? That skill that helps me. Let's say you learn some AI skill, right? And that is going to become very important. And that helps you improve, let's say you're a medical doctor, your diagnostics, right? Or shorten the time, or even actually catch some disease that was not humanly possible, given the multiple factors that go into these things. Isn't that, a friend who calls you back is producing. You know what? Yeah, and I was thinking about that. When I get a call back from a friend, say, "Hey, how is it?" They don't have. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, oxytocin. Oh my gosh." A leader who tells the truth is producing, because a leader who does not tell the truth, indeed, is setting up society for failure. Right? And we have examples. I'm not going to listen. I don't want to get in trouble about it.
But I think it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear, and that's really interesting. No, I think the producer culture really is about this ability to contribute and take control of your own life. It's agency as well. There's this saying and this theory that you cannot do anything for somebody else and not feel good. If you're doing it from a good place in your heart, it's impossible to do something for somebody else and not feel good. And I think that's that contribution side. And on the agency side, there was a study I was reading about maybe a year ago, and I'll put it in the show notes, around making bad decisions that are painful and tough. And the funny thing is, people who made their own decisions that were bad, and those decisions were far worse, felt better in the long term than people who had decisions made for them by some people, even though the consequences were less severe. So that's your contribution and agency, I think, in that point.
What is it that, yeah, right? Why does a kid, a little child, after some time does not want to be fed? They want to feed themselves. And I remember some kids I was dealing with. Right? And you say, no, I want to, or when your food is cut up a certain way. No, I remember someone who is talking to me right now, really
Interesting.
protesting. No, I do not want my food cut up. I want to deal with my own food. Agency. You see a kid trying to walk, they fall, they rise. Agency, right? It's interesting what you say, but also agency being able to control what is inside of you, internal. Yeah, I mean, this we can go on and on and on. It's very, yeah. But let's add another layer that helps people stop judging themselves, because you might feel that, wow, I'm a consumer, I'm a bad person and things like this. From an evolutionary angle, our consumer reflex is ancient, right? For most of human history, calories were scarce. To leave your village to go and get some calories, whether it was some kind of root, some kind of nuts, or whatever it was, right? It was an endeavor, because you could have been attacked by a wild animal and died, or bitten by a snake and died. So we evolved actually to look for opportunity, and when that opportunity presents itself, you think, this is my chance, right? I'm going to get the most I can right now, because I don't know if tomorrow I will happen upon this bush that has berries, or I will even have a successful hunt, right? A brain that grabbed easy reward and saved energy often survived. So don't beat yourself up. We're wired for this stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you always tell me, our brain is not here to make us live. It's here for our survival. And in this modern life, it is unbelievably difficult, because there are thousands of rewards, easy rewards, a second. And your brain doesn't say, hey, I think this might be enough, or this might be a little bit too much. It says, all you can eat buffet, unlimited reward. Let's go. Let's get it. I was listening to a conversation that Hank Green was having with a PhD professor in computer science and AI. And I will adapt what they said for my personal use case, which is, it's like having, I love chapatis. Chapatis are my favorite thing. They're not great for you. But in this modern day and age, it's like having somebody walking around with a chapati stand everywhere that you go. And you don't even have to eat the chapati. You just have to look at it, and you've eaten it. Like, that's the level of ease and reward and abundance of reward we have now. And it's
crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something really that it's hard to, like you said, judge yourself for, but it's important to be very cognizant of.
And really, this is a point of our discussions. Really, it's not to your weight cut. We are a part of that consumer culture, 100%, right? And I said, as you and I, gadgets, vehicles. I don't know. I mean, old cars. Uh,
I'm
yeah,
looking at my screen time for this week, and over the last 7 days, I have what, nearly 30 hours on entertainment and
how
screen
many?
time across all my devices. Nearly 30 hours. That's nearly an entire day. Actually, that's over a day. That's a day and some change. And yes, some of it is useful content, but it can't all be.
We work 40 hours a week, right? Oh, that's a 40-hour week work. Well, no, we don't. We
Work
work
week.
more. Work week is, yeah, is this figure, 40 hours. I don't know what that means, actually. And I'm trying to still figure out what that means. But if you think 34 hours screen time, it's like you equivalent to
It's a
close
job.
to, it's a
It's a
job.
job.
Wow. Yeah, and this all this stuff that is available to us. I remember growing up as a kid. Our only entertainment, we had one channel that that was VOK, Voice of Kenya, and it started at 5, right? And there are some few shows that we love to watch and things like this. Then others came. We had more channels. Then the Dish networks came. We didn't have internet at that time, and we didn't have all these things that we have today. Even at that time, if there was a supermarket in town, man, it was a big deal, right? The places where we went to was these little shops to buy stuff, right? In the market as well. These open markets that were very interesting, actually. They're still around, but now, look, you have these devices that 34 hours. That's interesting. I should monitor mine more. Then I'll come here and fess up,
Yeah,
confess.
yeah.
Yes,
Let's
yes, yes, yes.
see.
Yeah, this is a confessional. Oh my God. Forgive me for I have said no. Anyway, so yeah, but imagine now somebody, a forager, traversing Masai Mara, right? And they're transported in time immediately, and they're put into this current situation. You are thrust into a 24-hour supermarket with everything. You have the middle aisle, which is not food. By the way, we will be talking about that. The middle aisles of supermarkets are problematic. That is not food. If you read the label and you cannot even pronounce the names on those labels, what is it? Anyway, so yeah, of course you would be like, this is a feast still, as you said. Oh man, I'm gonna grab this. Oh man, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna grab this. And if you have endless resources, money, whatever, you fill your carts. You fill your car. You go home. Then what happens? So these instincts are not evil. I think how we can frame them is that they are simply out of place. So now, why is consumer culture so tricky?
Well, I think it's what we were discussing. Our brains are enamored with novelty, wired for it. I mean, that's what makes you wake up in the morning. It gives you that hit of anticipation, knowing that today is a new day. There's once I was staying somewhere, and there was a kid who woke up at 7 a.m. in the morning, yelling, "Yeah, yeah!" As in,
Wow.
they were so excited because it was a new day, new experiences, new, just novel things are gonna happen. You don't know whether the tea today is gonna have too much sugar or not enough. As there's something that this prediction engine of a brain is trying to now get and receive, because it's always predicting, but it doesn't know what's actually coming. So that's that little bit of anticipation is driving us.
Yeah, you're right. You mentioned a kid. When I was a kid, and maybe you remember this also when you were a kid, time was very slow.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, a summer would last. I made it be long.
I I actually vividly remember. The summer in the White House when we used to live in Moscow, Idaho.
Oh, yes.
There's one summer where I honestly thought that summer was a year. Like it felt like a year to me compared to
Why?
now.
Yeah, it's novelty because when you have everything is new, everything is novel, right? And your brain at that stage, because it's absorbing all these new things, expands time to absorb all those new things, right? It's interesting. Now, as we get older, novelty wears out. Let's talk about music because we love music.
Indeed.
Now we have so much. Do you remember those days when I think, no, you came around when CDs were coming.
Oh yeah,
Or
CDs were
when,
already a thing.
yes, 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 yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, they were already a thing, right? I grew up, of course, in the record era, and then the cassette, the tape, right? And then, of course, when the CDs came, man, we were burning CDs, were burning our best, playlists and things like this. But I remember we would wait for albums to come out or for songs to be released. We would sit there and wait. And when it hit, when it dropped, my goodness, this was, you know, the first time it's in 1984 when I heard, is it 84, 83, something around that time when I heard Marvin Gaye's, sexual healing song. Because this was reggae, this was R&B, this was soul,
Soul
this was
music, yeah.
all in one. And I'm like, what in the world is this? And I spent hours listening, playing it over and over again. Rewinding the cassette. You play it. You play it. But today, what has happened? Novelty has is worn out. I mean, we no longer have, because we have so. I cannot imagine the abundance. And so, what do we do then? Sorry, I mean, we're belittling this a little bit because I think this is important.
It is.
We seek novelty. We go looking for extremes, because what we currently have does not satisfy. So, and dopamine is a big part of this story. Not people, you and I, misuse dopamine online 34 hours. Mine maybe is even longer, I don't know. But one useful point is this: dopamine spikes on anticipation and novelty. Then your brain adapts. Once you get there, for every new level, there's a new devil.
I want to just quickly go back to the music piece, and it's like I'm very fortunate to have an awesome record collection, and that
I've seen it.
I have not listened to music on Spotify or Apple Music as much, apart from again like those new albums that just dropped. But now I listen to an album 3 times, 4 times within a week. I'll put, okay, this week here's the albums up we're gonna listen to in the house, and you listen to it once, twice, 3 times. Every time you're getting up to flip it over, like the novelty of that. It's funny. It's how cyclical life is, where we raced all the way to MP3s, and now we're coming back to this because there is novelty in it. There is a deeper level of appreciation of contribution in that art form. But like you were saying, back to the other point, what satisfied me today will not satisfy me tomorrow. It becomes normal. I think you spoke about that treadmill where your heart is racing, calories are being burned, you're hitting kilometer 10, but for all intents and purposes, you've not gone anywhere. And that is what dopamine is like for the way we receive it.
Absolutely. And once you get to that level, as you said, things become normal. But again, back to your record. Sorry, a record collection, and I can't help it. There is an effort that you put to go into your record player. You exert effort to get the stylus they had and place it very carefully on the record and act wherever you want it, right? You don't just drop it because you'll ruin the record. There's care. There is effort. And it's interesting what you're saying, that this feels different from playing this endless, continuous, music through Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. I couldn't help but think about, yes, effort brings fulfillment. But going back on this dopamine idea, once you arrive, again, as I said, for every new level, there's a new level. You arrive, and that becomes your new normal, right? The novelty wears out. It's so crazy. Then you seek a louder hit. It's like when people are addicted. It was interesting when I was drinking, and I used to drink a lot of alcohol. I could drink copious amounts of alcohol. Oh my God, right? It's crazy that I'm still alive today, right? My favorite drink was almost always the next drink.
Man.
Right? And I developed tolerance. So it was no longer one or two drinks. The first time I had the first drink, my friend, I was as high as a kite in my life. Several years later, man, it was
Did you even get to the same place?
Hard liquor. And I'm still standing, and I'm still wanting more and more and more.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people will echo or feel this, where when you have this endless consumption, this endless list of music, this endless set of videos on your screen, in your ears, and wherever you are, it often creates restlessness, feeling of anxiety. You think that you're resting, I'm taking a breather, I'm taking 5, but your nervous system is being trained to just chase and chase and chase. And I've felt this. I've been, and this is like just to help myself and where I'm at, been off Instagram and Facebook and all those things for a couple months now, just because I had no way to stop or counter this endless chasing and the restlessness and anxiety that it brought out.
Yeah. So you had to stop. For you had to say, okay,
Yeah,
I don't have the off switch when I need to off it. So let it. Yeah, and for me, and for me, alcohol was. Look, I'm not here to demonize alcohol. No, please don't get me wrong. But again, for me, at one point I didn't have that off switch. Okay, my off switch actually was to run away, because when I knew now I'm high and I could do something terrible. So this is but the only way I could deal with it was to say, forget it. And I'm so grateful for it, because again, I don't have to then pretend I can develop this off switch that I couldn't, I wasn't capable of. Yeah, so this stuff trains you to reach for relief, not build depth.
Yeah, and it's not just content. Shopping, we've talked a lot about that, works the same way. Status, validation, also work the same way.
I remember, now you talk about status and validation. And I think I'm getting a little bit better at this, but, I'd go, we're public figures somehow. When I walked into into some gathering, I wanted recognition and to be announced. Oh, Dr. Simba Tirima, PhD, DHD, ADD, whatever has arrived.
That's your Nigerian vacation.
And they did that in Nigeria actually a lot.
Yeah.
In the big like conferences. We recognize so and so and so and so, and things like this, right? But there are even other subtle ways, because even when you're walking down the street, somebody does not, so, and then this validation addiction that until somebody approves of me, I'm constantly seeking out this approval. Then somebody validates and say, "Oh, you're great. You're doing great. Look at you're the best. Whatever." And then then I settle. Then I want more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then that's you spike, and then it's back down to earth again.
Yeah, this is where people start then saying, "I don't know what is wrong with me." Again, we want to establish this. There's nothing wrong with you. You're working exactly the way you have evolved to work. But the interesting thing is that we as humans have the capacity and the potential and the ability to edit that script. Yes, we
Indeed.
actually are not doomed to that way of autonomic sort of responding to, I see this, I do it, because I couldn't stop myself, right? We actually have that ability to edit that script. We can install a software now. I'm coming to the geek here. That a patch, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And you can explain that a little bit, right? So there's nothing wrong with you. You're responding normally to an abnormal environment. My friend, what we have today, yeah.
It was not meant. I mean, let me not say it wasn't meant to be, but for it to be, significant things had to go and significant effort had to be put in. And now we're, an environment that's designed to monetize attention.
And if attention is the commodity, your peace becomes very expensive.
Yeah. And what we're saying to ourselves is not never enjoy this. This is the forbidden fruit. You should never bite into it or touch it. What we're trying to say, and I try and say this to myself as well, is let me stop being managed. Let me hold on to my agency.
Absolutely, yes. We're saying stop being managed.
Yeah. I mean, look at the evolutionary biology here. Our brains were shaped by environments where novelty could mean food, a new source of water, a safer path, a new ally. Without that curiosity, none of us would be here. That's what kept you alive then.
Absolutely. So we evolved. Let me say this: curiosity is a feature of humanity. Looking, because that novelty helped you survive. If you didn't seek out novelty, right, you would stay where you were and died. Okay, so if there was a disease outbreak in a village or in a community, we've talked to some folks who, I was very lucky. My great grandparents were born in the 1800s. My dad's dad was born in 1911. My dad was born in 1933, right? So, and I had a wonderful privilege of engaging all those generations, and of course, being curious. I've always been very curious. I would ask all these questions about how society was, and sometimes I didn't know how to frame the questions. But I remember my great grandfather telling me that, well, at one time they had to move from one place to another because there was a disease that came and wiped a lot of people, right? So they had to seek novelty. They had to seek something new. That's how they survived, right? Yeah, now novelty is endless and cheap, of course. You have to now today. Novelty is endless, and you see new. I don't know if there are new things, but you have all these things, and
New to
everybody's
you.
telling you, oh, yes, or everybody's telling you, oh, there is a new DJI mic that will solve all your podcast problems. Okay, or there is version 3. There is all this. It's endless, right? There's this new dietary routine that will completely revolutionize your life. Your metrics will be great. It's like a smoke alarm that was designed to protect you from fire, but it starts screaming every time you toast bread. This novelty. The alarm is not wicked. The setting is wrong.
Yeah, that variable reward pattern is also just old. The way you framed it really made me think. Okay, the value of novelty has changed significantly. It used to be of critical importance. When you foraged, you didn't actually find fruit every time. Some people actually would take a turn and fall off a cliff, and that was the end. Like, that uncertainty though of I need to get to this next thing. It keeps you searching because that was a life or death, a continuation or an end. And that's why even when you scroll, it feels like a slot machine.
That's another topic that we will explore in our future episodes. This the scarcity loop. We'll be talking about that. Yeah, it's interesting that you. Well, let me not go there because you always prompt and we go off topic, which is great. Yeah. So today your thumb becomes the foraging tool. Your thumbs, on that phone.
Yeah. So, what is the alternative? How do we engage, or what does this producer life mean in a normal person's week?
Absolutely, and this is where again we can talk about concepts. We can talk about definitions and theories and things like this. But if really, as you said earlier, if it's like watching all these productivity videos or watching all these people building, or repairing, or fixing cars and restoring cars, and your pickup is sitting there. It's like me looking. Well, let me buy this gym equipment, and I'm thinking about it. But I have a gym. I have a gym in my house, but I never go there. Right. What it means, it means you stop asking, what can I consume to feel better? And you start asking, what can I practice that will make me better, make me stronger? We've said this over and over again, and you and I share this. You become what you practice.
Indeed. So the shift is practice over purchase, practice over consumption.
Yes. And, I write these exhortations, to you guys every morning, and there's a line, and they are inspired by our conversations. As I was telling you earlier, when we're talking, I just, after you and I talk, or McKenna and I speak to each other, I take my phone and write notes. Oh, that was a very interesting conversation. Well, this idea, let's explore this a little bit more. So, again, curiosity, but also inspiration at the same time. So, one of the lines is lasting satisfaction is earned, not consumed. This is not a slogan. It is a map. It's a roadmap. It's a blueprint, actually, for fulfillment, for satisfaction.
Indeed. Yeah, there's an idea that we can borrow from Arthur Brooks, the Harvard happiness researcher. And he has a way of describing this happiness as a ratio. So the ratio is super simple. What you have on the top and what you want at the bottom. So what you have divided by what you want. And if you keep inflating life, what do we call it? For some of us who kind of recently got into the workforce, by recently I mean like last decade, you're earning more, your wages increasing, and that scope creep comes into play. That lifestyle creep of, well, now that I have this, I can maybe afford that. Now that I have this, I should aim for that. And you keep inflating and slowly growing. So what would have been to you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the dream life that you could have never even wished, imagined, feels empty, feels hollow. But the reverse is also true, where if you, not saying limiting your creativity or your drive, but if you learn that level of contentment, your satisfaction can, without doing anything externally, go from 0.5 to a 1.
Excellent. So, again, you've couched, or Arthur Brooks, from what you're saying, Arthur Brooks couches satisfaction as a fraction. Okay. Halves being equal, halves equals equal, or halves are the numerator and ones are the denominator. Right? And what you want to watch very carefully
Is that
actually are
denominator?
both, but the denominator, the ones. And you've spoken about scope creep. That is actually quite an interesting, powerful idea, that this thing creeps into you. Don't, you expand your scope, but it's a creep. It's not. It doesn't happen overnight.
It's not
You earn
overt.
more money. Yeah, absolutely. It's not overt, right? So you keep increasing your denominator, your wants, and the more you have, the more you want. Right? That's crazy. So but I think what you're suggesting then is we really have to watch our denominator. This is what improves the ratio. This is what improves satisfaction or fulfillment. Again, for what does it profit a person to gain the whole world?
But to lose his soul.
You have everything, but you have nothing. Right? So then the producer culture is not only increasing what you have, right? It is training what you want. It's training that part. What do I want really? Okay, shrinking the appetite. because you could go to this feast. Of course, if you overeat, what happens? This buffet that is, you can gorge yourself, but then welcome Pepto, my God, you will be in trouble. Constipation becomes, yeah, you're right. So it's clarifying desire, right? And this is a very deliberate process. And you've said practice over purchase. So these are things that we practice. Maybe down the line, also with listener notes, we'll have some prompts that we use for ourselves that help us think through these things. The point is not to beat yourself when you find yourself that you have consumed or you have bought something that you do not need. But it's to be able to catch yourself. The point is not to say, well, I have scrolled, or now I feel so bad, but to catch yourself and say, oh, what is this? Why am I, and stop for a moment and say, okay, what is this? And as you practice this pausing and questioning, then something shifts in you.
Indeed. It's a massive, huge point that you can win externally and still lose internally if your desire has no brakes. Some of the worst times I've had internally, personally, is after a massive public win. After launching the company, the months that followed, I was in a very low state. And why? Because that desire, what I wanted out of life, out of this thing that I was pursuing, I didn't practice, clarifying and putting guardrails around it. Yeah.
Wow, you launched a company at a very young age. This is absolutely unusual. It's a successful company at that. Yet you felt hollow after launching. So there was a pursuit, where the dopamine. This is where dopamine really plays a big role. But once you arrive,
checks out. It says, "What's the next mountain to climb?" And
for every new level,
there's a new devil.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. So this is where you've heard of the idea of Stoicism, and we can talk about that later. But this is where it becomes useful. And there's this. He's actually a therapist and does CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and other kinds of things. But it's very, very practical. He has a way. I think he's Irish, and he has this really nice Irish way of saying things, and frames this in a modern language. The Stoic move is not to numb yourself. It's not to say, I'm not feeling. It's not, no. It is to train your judgments, right? Your desires and your attention. When, you have these creeping plants, right? Right? If you let it creep, it can go anywhere. But you can train that plant to maybe even circle around your window, makes a really nice pattern, right? This is what comes to mind. You stop being dragged or around by cravings as if they are commands. The other day, this is an interesting time at work. I mean, many changes, uncertainty, right? In some respects, and the world is uncertain as well. And the other day, this anxiety creep started coming. It creeps in, and I became even a bit more testy than usual. I mean, you said something to me, I'd probably respond in a way that was not characteristic of me. I said, okay. And then I stopped. I was walking actually home from work, and I stopped. I said to myself, what is this that is commanding me to walk into these cages that I have built and lock myself into that cage and say, well, I am doing great. So now I have agency. So anyway, yeah.
And that's the thing. It's not about being tough or being hard, or it's about being free.
You are introducing an interesting term, freedom. Growing up, at one point, I don't, maybe I heard this somewhere, but even in high school, my idea of freedom was to do exactly what I want, in without responsibility, right? But I didn't realize that what freedom meant really is being free enough to choose the long-term thing over the loud thing. Is a freedom of choice, and to know that I have agency. I can choose a path, that I'm not only subject to my thoughts or my emotions. My emotions are not the driver. In fact, that I have to relegate my emotions to the back seat. They can try to, be a backseat driver, but that's what they say. Yes, yeah, I will not give them the steering wheel, right? I will not hand over the steering wheel, but sometimes I do.
Yeah, it's being free enough to build something that will last. I really like the imagery of building a cage, locking yourself in and screaming, I'm doing fantastic, this is awesome. I feel like that is so often the move that's taken.
Yeah, we build those cages ourselves. But all this stuff that we're talking about, all these ideas that we're talking about, and these notions that we're sharing, is not about moral superiority. No. In fact, if anything, our show is not about, we have figured it out, we are morally superior. No, our show or this podcast is about discussing reality and what we go through, the fights, the battles, the struggles that we go through, and we are flesh and blood human beings, but very, 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 let me say, vulnerable people. Not people who have figured it out. And in fact, we embrace imperfection as a feature of humanity. In fact, that is what makes us who we are. And so the point here is your nervous system was shaped to survive. Producer culture helps it thrive. Let's bring this home to where you are, Nairobi, where
Atlantis,
I am, Abidjan.
this week.
Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, you're swimming over there in Nairobi. I understand so Lagos, Accra, Johannesburg, or wherever you are on the continent. We talked about, there are currently over 500 million smartphones in Africa south of Sahara. Smartphones. It is estimated in the next 4 years, 2030, there'll be close to 1 billion smartphones. The day, or whatever it is, whatever medium it is, whatever platform, the day ends with scrolling. You are not only consuming content, you're consuming other people's lives. Sorry, I jumped.
No, it's completely true. And that kind of circumvents some of the real pressures that we have: relationships, family, work, obligations, and that pressure is real, and it makes us want to escape. So we should be gentle with ourselves, and that this consumer culture isn't a personal failure. It's a system that's designed. And if we look currently at what's going on in the US and Europe as well, some of these system makers and producers and operators are coming under heavy scrutiny because of how dangerous and addictive, like you said, curiosity is a feature, and that feature is being actively hijacked. It's being hacked into. But
Still,
yeah, go
yes,
ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no. Still, we can choose small resistances. We can catch ourselves and say, who stole or who moved my cheese? Who stole my attention? Bang!
Yeah, and I mean here at home, there's beautiful producer cultures going on that rarely get celebrated enough. People who are building quietly, small businesses, crafts, communities, caregivers, people keeping their word and creating worlds for us to live in and be in. Last week was the Kilele Summit, which is honestly one of my favorite things. And I say the day I know I've made it is when I can take the entire week off to just attend the summit fully. And it brings creatives from here at home, from all across the world for a week of just producing, literally production, music production, film production, audio, but artists, like photographers, everyone. And that feeling and the fulfillment you get after attending some of the things that go on there and those kind of communities, it's not very flashy. There's not that many people there. But everything has weight, has meaning, has purpose behind it. And I'm so happy to see that not only in summits like this, but everywhere. If you look, you will find.
And maybe, you and I talk about AI or IA a lot. Maybe when the machines take over, what will we be left with? But this creativity, the art, what is produced or what will be produced at that time will not have the novelty because it's machines producing it. What will then remain is this artisanal, this the handmade bread, not bread that is made by a robot. In sitting together and telling stories, maybe will be what we will be doing. I mean, not in my generation. You're right. And this producer culture we're talking about is not always flashy. It doesn't always come with cameras. It is faithful.
Yeah, that looks like, your auntie selling fruit at 5 a.m. It looks like your friend learning design at night. A father who is just trying again. A mother who's holding a home together.
So we're not romanticizing struggle. What we are doing actually is honoring agency.
And even our social comparison, and this is something that could be another episode entirely, has its evolutionary roots where in small communities, knowing your status and your belonging was extremely important for protection, for access, for interaction. I mean, you've said this to me several times that the biggest skill that we have as humans and differentiators is our ability to collaborate. And when you're in that kind of situation, your brain has to track, where do I stand in this village? But this village is not just the 5, 10, 20 people who you grew up with and have known your entire life, but it's become the entire world. It has become everybody on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, WhatsApp, and that is not something that we were designed to, again, handle. Your programming is not incorrect. It's the application, the system that in which the program is being applied that is that is, it's like asking a monkey to climb a fish to climb a tree.
Right. So when someone feels pulled into trends and image, right, it's not only vanity. It can be an old belonging system firing into the new world. Because if you did not belong, you did not survive. If you did not have the protection of the village, of the community, most likely you couldn't survive alone. And we have evolved that way to actually read signals. Our antenna are tuned to, am I accepted here? Am I rejected? What is my status in this community? And as you said, yes, now that community has no boundaries at all.
So let's get into the practicals on this producer lifestyle. Like we said, we promised tools. This is not a program. This is not in 5 steps you will become XYZ. But we'll give 3 practices that you can actually start doing today.
Yes, let's start with and we tried to build toward this earlier, the craving check. Okay. 3 questions, no shame, just clarity. You ask yourself, or I even ask myself, am I feeding a craving or building the choice I'm about to make now? What would my future self say about it? Am I numbing or nourishing? Mindless scrolling to just numb so I can escape? Or am I feeding my soul? Am I consuming to escape or practicing what creates real satisfaction?
Yeah, with the craving check, you can, and I try and do this as well actually, ask before I open this app, before I make a purchase or binge on a distraction and get lost in some rabbit hole. Just take 10 seconds and ask these 3 questions, or even one of the 3 questions, and make that a habit.
Yeah, let's very quickly practice 2, an attention budget. Listen, everybody's on a budget. We are on a time budget, right? When we're born, we have, give or take, 4,000 weeks, right? It could be less, it could be a little bit more. Just like money, attention is limited as well. Decide where you want it to go this week. Relationships, craft, prayer, learning, movement, exercise, or even rest.
Real rest.
Real rest, not a scrolling rest.
Indeed. And then be honest about where it actually went. Looking at your screen time, asking the people who are around you in your life that you interact regularly with, where do they see? And you know that outside perspective can really be helpful in identifying where you're putting your efforts and your time. And what you don't measure and what you don't track is very difficult to change.
I like how you shared your screen time, 34-hour screen time a week. I don't remember the metrics exactly, but this was very honest, right? But I didn't see you using it as a verdict or as judgment. You are using it as data. What really does this mean? What do I need to do to address this? And I have agency. And you said very clearly, one of the things that you did is cut yourself off Insta, cut yourself off certain platforms, because at this moment you didn't feel that you had the switch, the flip switch to switch it off when you needed to.
Nice. And practice 3, the producer hour. This is 1 hour, once or twice a week, where you create something small. Write a page, cook a recipe, clean a corner and organize a part of your workspace or your living space. Learn a skill, fix something. We all have something that's broken that we can fix. Call someone and repair or rebuild or just deposit into that relationship. Build a plan, but don't stop there. Take that first step. Take that first step.
Absolutely. Yes. And I find that that producer hour is where joy starts to return. Joy loves evidence. Joy really loves evidence. Now, in my life, I like to cook. This is, and sometimes I'm too busy, whatever. I have so many things that I'm doing. But what I'm finding out more and more is Sundays are my cooking days, and maybe Wednesday nights, so that I can have enough meals for the week. But when I'm like working these recipes and I invent things all the time, it's interesting how even time almost stops in a certain way, and then I stop feeling rushed a certain way. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has that luxury, but please don't. We understand there are people really who, let's say, you have seven, 2, 3 kids you have to manage. You just lost your job, or you don't even have a job. You have, we're not here, or you're taking care of a sick child, a sick sibling, or a sick parent, whatever. I mean, we understand this. We're not here on this soapbox trying to say, oh yeah, if you're feeling a certain way, it's your fault. And no, we understand life can be hard. But what we're saying is that even very small things, that if you have a little time to repair something, maybe you're good at sewing. I attempt to repair my clothes using a needle and thread, right? And actually the satisfaction that comes from that, and I look at it and say, oh, look at that, and it's all about agency.
Yeah, and it's not a hustle hour where we're not trying to grind out or get that next level extra edge and push. It's really that dignity hour of bringing things back in and focusing back in, kind of trying to silence the noise. There's that signal and noise that we've talked about before, and there's so much noise, but like you said, when you do that, time somewhat stops. This push and pull in all these different directions quiets down, and it really builds that fulfillment, that joy in you. And yeah, it's not always that there's a luxury to do these things. I think it's how do we kind of move that from being a luxury and trying to put it into our lives as a part of our lives in any circumstance.
Yes, no matter your condition, you're not utterly helpless. Yes, no matter what is going on around you, there is that one thing or two things that you can do. Yes, you do not do it to impress anyone. You do it to remember that you're not helpless.
Yeah, and we'll give you a bonus, which is replace a quick hit with a slow game. So 1 less scroll for 1 walk, 1 less impulse buy for 1 more skill lesson, 1 less udaku thread, gossip thread, for 1 meaningful, conversation. One of the things I've tried to do is actually on that first one, where I just take 15 minutes and go for a walk. And surprisingly enough, you do that 2 times a day, 3 times a day, and you can get to your 10,000 steps and defeat this sedentary lifestyle that many of us live. Where we're just going from bed to car to office back to sit in front of the couch. And these small, slow gains, again, with consistency and time, will make a lasting and positive impact.
Yeah, small swaps change the nervous system. It's not really the big changes only that come with pomp and circumstance. No, it's those small changes.
Yeah, what you practice, you become. And I mean, rarely do humans beat instinct with willpower. It's very rare that you see a program beating its programming with just some random noise or random inputs. You beat it by reshaping your environment, by creating a system that works for you, not trying to argue with the river for it to go down the other path. You've got to get down there, dig the trench, and redirect it. So
Absolutely.
and you have that capacity and that agency. We all do.
Yeah, so reduce the friction or what holds you back for the good things. Increase friction for the things that are draining you. Make it difficult. Revert to the things that drain you. That's not weakness. That is intelligent design.
Indeed. I love that. It is a design. You must design your life. Now, let's quickly, let's touch on faith. That is a very big part of who we are. It's not a sermon, so don't click off just yet.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So while we're prepping for this, and I'll set it up with this verse, and we can have a quick convo about this. But in 1 Timothy 6 and 7, it talks about godliness with contentment is great gain. And verse 7 is very important to me. For we brought nothing into this world, and we cannot take anything out of this world either.
Absolutely, yes. And I was telling you the story of my mom's kitchen. This is where we were nourished. This is where we grew up. We would gather around that kitchen, around the stove, and as she was cooking, we'd all be telling stories about our day, whatever the case might be. And mom was very strict about who enters that kitchen, who touches her utensils, and there was some special thing. Even we, as the kids, could not use them, right? Well, she passed away last year in January. And when we went back to the funeral, I entered the kitchen where I was nourished. And I found people who she could never let into that kitchen, touching and using the same utensils that, she would never let anyone use. And that hit me so hard. Your verse, the verse that you shared, Tari, is so apt. Man, all this stuff does not matter. We came with nothing. We will leave with nothing. When as I settled back into my life, one of the things I've done is to reduce my life into 6 suitcases. And I'm still working on that. I've not arrived yet. Oh my gosh. So
you're close though. You're not too far off.
It's hard work. But faith at its best is orientation. It says your worth is not determined by output or consumption. It calls you back to what lasts.
And it is not passive. It is definitely something that is trained.
That's one of the most important lines in this exhortation that I share, but also what you just said, Tari. Contentment is learned. Satisfaction is practiced, right? These things we can learn. These things, once we practice, we become.
Indeed. And the producer culture is not actually only about the external. I think more so and more importantly, it's about the internal formation that happens through this.
We live, for the most part, in our minds. Yes, you're right. It's internal. The cages that we talked about that we build and walk into, right? And actually padlock ourselves in, and then we start
Throw away the
screaming.
key sometimes.
Yes, and start screaming. Yes, yes, it's learning to want less noise. You mentioned signal to noise ratio earlier, and learning to want more meaning, less novelty, the new thing that is coming, and more depth. Enjoy that record, right? Have a wonderful listening experience. Not only what comes next. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. It's less relief and soothing, that sucking of the thumb, and more fulfillment. And again, through work, through practice, through learning.
Absolutely. And again, to remind you so that you don't beat yourself, self-flagellate yourself, because this is what we do, right? Is it Khalil Gibran said something very interesting, that God commanded me to love my enemies, and I obeyed. I loved myself.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So we don't want you to be beating yourself up, because sometimes we are our own worst enemies, and we really are harsh to ourselves. From a biological standpoint, contentment is not the default setting. Remember that. The nervous system was built to scan for threat and opportunity. Threat, what could kill me, right? What is that thing? What's that just moved, right? And opportunity. Oh, berries. Oh, roots. Oh, nourishment. Contentment is a skill that tells the body we are safe enough to stop chasing. So here's an invitation for the week. Run the craving check. Build one producer hour. Notice what shifts. Remember, notice what shifts. It's important to notice the shifts. And you will get used to those shifts as well. Novelty wears out. It becomes your new normal, right? But this is why we practice gratitude. You say, oh, look at where I have come. Look at where I am. I have made progress.
Indeed. Yeah, make sure to what you don't track is hard to change. But please do send us an email or a voice note or a message. Tell us what changes you made. What did you replace? What returned? And how does that impact your life? We are all a collection of stories, and your story is important.
Excellent. So we're working on our next episode, and we are going to take it toward education and learning. Now, this is when you're growing up in Kenya. Education is the most important thing in your life. This is what you're told, right? And you must go through primary school, secondary school, university, and if you ask, like some of us, if you get your PhD, oh, you have arrived. My gosh, you never arrived, sorry. But there is a difference now in terms of what education means, the tools that we have, not only AI, but also, YouTube. You can learn a lot of things, and the question now becomes, a competition of tools. Which tool is louder? But also the question becomes, does the traditional way of learning still remain relevant today? is that professor, that teacher, as relevant as they were several years ago? This actually is something that is going to change, that's going to shift, and that is shifting already very, very, very quickly. And it's something that is causing a lot of anxiety.
Indeed.
So
We're so excited to have you join us for the next conversation.
But this has been Generations in Conversation. What stays? What changes? These are hopeful stories for each season of life.